Good evening, beautiful people. Shanetta Joy here with another vlog. Actually, this is my second one. It is currently about 5:30 Michigan time. Um, Today we're going to talk a little bit about lupus. Um, and you got to forgive me because it's been so long I'm going to be reading off of my notes. So lupus is an autoimmune disease that can attack organs in your body. Most commonly the kidneys, which is how it affects mine. I was diagnosed with lupus in 2007 and it's 2022, so do the math. I've been living with this disease for a very long time. And I'm still here, I'm still thriving. There's nothing to be scared about, but there is a lot to learn and a lot that you have to do to kind of stay healthy with this disease. A lot of the symptoms kind of mirror other autoimmune diseases, so sometimes it's hard to diagnose. I was lucky it was diagnosed on the first blood test that they did. How I was diagnosed, I was a lot smaller than I am now, a whole lot smaller. Lupus, for me, I gained a lot of weight with lupus because I was on steroids, high doses of steroids for many, many years, and I'm still on steroids now. But I was diagnosed, like I said, in 2007. I had been out jogging, and I noticed that just like my bones and my muscles, they ached really, really bad to the point where I literally had to stop and walk, and even walking was hard. So I made it back to my car, and I just figured maybe I was doing too much because I had been exercising pretty much every day except for Sundays, and sometimes on Sunday. But I figured I was doing too much, so I figured I'd take a day or two off. And after a couple of days, I decided to, go back and try and walk instead of jog. And I just couldn't do it. It was so painful and so difficult. I literally had to stop. I still didn't seek medical attention at that time. Again, I just thought my bones and muscles were just sore from, being overworked and overexerted. So what I did was I just continued to do my daily duties. I went to work. I came home. One day, or one morning, I should say, I tried to get up to go to work. And when I say I could barely get out of bed, I could barely get out of bed. I hurt so bad. I was in tears, like a grown woman in tears. So I called off work. I called my doctor, my primary care, and she did a lot of blood work. She called me that night, like after hours. So when she called me, I knew there had to be something. She said, you need to get to a rheumatologist immediately. The numbers are off the charts for either a neurological disease or an autoimmune disease. She was like, I don't know which one, but there's something going on. So she recommended some rheumatologists. I made an appointment. It was like a week before I could get in. And I could not work. I had just literally started a temporary job, a temp to permanent position at a big employment agency, and it was full time. I had been there almost 2 months, so it's like 90 days before they would even consider hiring me in. So I'm thinking, oh my God, I've really messed this up because, I'm sick. I can't go to work. I couldn't drive. I couldn't get dressed. My hands, like your joints in your hands are so stiff and sore. Like I couldn't button anything. I couldn't do my hair. I could barely shower. And like take care of myself because I was just in so much pain. And come to find out, a week later, I get in to see the rheumatologist. She confirmed that it is lupus. And so when she said to me, you have lupus, I looked at her. She looked at me. I looked back at her. She looked back at me. And I'm like, okay, what is that? Because I had never heard of it before. So she explained what it is, and I'm like, okay, how do we get rid of it? She said, well, there's no cure. So immediately I wanted to cry, but I'm like, there's no cure, but what? Because she just had this look on her face like there was more to it. And she said, but you can still live a healthy life with the disease. We just have to treat it. So she's like, you actually have an infection um, right now throughout your body because it went undiagnosed for so long. And lupus can be active, and you may or may not have symptoms, or the symptoms are just so common, like maybe like for a cold or overexertion, that you may not even realize that's what it is. But once you've been diagnosed, you know when you're having what they call a flare up. So anyway, they gave me a lot of antibiotics that are specific to lupus that cleared up the infection, and then it was time to actually treat the disease. So I was on medication, and I'm still on medication to this day, and there's a lot of medication that you could take with this disease. It just depends on where you are in the disease, your diagnosis, how long you've been ill, and how your body reacts to certain medications. So I was lucky. The first round of medications that she tried, along with the steroids, they helped to clear that flare up. And I would say I was in my early 30s when I was diagnosed. So I didn't really have any more flare-ups after that initial one where I was diagnosed. But once I got into my 40s, the disease started really acting up. I was hospitalized and found out that I had lupus nephritis. And that's when your lupus attacks your kidneys. It can attack other organs, but for me, it attacks my kidneys. So I was in the hospital for almost 2 weeks with that. And once that got cleared up, I was on another medication for that. So, you take a lot of medication. Steroids are probably going to be part of that regimen. For some reason, they help, but the side effects are you're going to gain weight. You're going to blow up. Your face is going to be, chubby like this. And, there's no amount of exercising you can do. You're still going to gain some weight. Some other symptoms you may experience are what they call the butterfly rash. And that's simply just a rash across your face, across your nose here. And it's literally shaped like a butterfly. And it will be raw, and it'll last. I know when I've had it twice in the past 16 years. And it took about a week or two to clear up. There's pretty much nothing you can do, but you just have to let it clear up. You can put cortisone and stuff like that on there, but you just have to let it just kind of take its course and just clear up on its own. Some other symptoms, your extreme fatigue. You will be so exhausted, and it's not sleepy. It's just exhausted, like you have run a marathon, 5 marathons in one day is how you feel sometimes. And with lupus, you never know how you're going to feel or what kind of day you're going to have until you wake up that morning. You may wake up that morning with very little pain, and throughout the day it may increase, or you may wake up in the morning with a lot of pain, and it, could just stay that way throughout the day. There have been times that I've just stayed in bed for the day because it just was too painful to get up and move. They do say exercise helps, but you're just so exhausted, it's really hard to do. So I bought a stationary bike, and that seems to help because I can sit down and, watch a movie or watch a TV show or whatever while I exercise. They say it helps to keep your joints and muscles kind of lubricated. It kind of decrease the pain. It doesn't really decrease the pain, but it does help keep things lubricated and moving around. Other than fatigue and joint pain, you may experience hair loss. Like I said, the butterfly rash. Some people have headaches. Edema is a really big one, and for those who don't know what edema is, that's swelling of your legs, your ankles, and your feet. And it's normally like from your calves down. So just right below your calf, all the way down to your feet, they're just going to be swollen. So for all my ladies and gentlemen out there, prepare to buy some wide width shoes or extra wide width shoes because you're going to need them. You're not going to be able to fit your regular shoes when you have the bouts of edema. Some other things I wanted to go over. 9 out of 10 adults with lupus are women, and mostly minorities. Minorities are more likely to come down with lupus than Caucasians. It's just a fact. Also, what do I want to say here? If you have a family member that has lupus, you are at a higher risk because they do say that there are hereditary traits. So for me, someone in my family had lupus. So I was at a higher risk for it. I had the trait for it. And so I was diagnosed with lupus. Some other things to talk about. It's just life with lupus. Don't think of it as it's not a death sentence. I mean, some people, when they automatically, when a doctor tells you you have something and there's no cure for it, you automatically, your life just kind of flashes in front of your eyes, right? So it's not like that with lupus. I mean, there are going to be times where you're going to be down and why did this happen to me? And you can't do the things that you used to do, like you're not as active as you used to be. You used to, be out in public a lot more. You have to be careful because people with lupus are, there is a sensitivity to sunlight. So you can't sit in the sun for long periods of time, not even short periods of time. And you need to, for sure, have your sunscreen on if you're going to go outside. Even if you're in the shade, have sunscreen on, but do not sit in the direct sunlight. That can cause you to have a lupus flare-up. I know for me that happened. Initially, I didn't know that you couldn't sit out in the sun for, certain periods of time. And, that actually caused a flare-up for me. And flare-ups, there's no time frame of how long they can last. But when you have one, you can make sure that you contact your doctor, your rheumatologist, and let them know. And there may be a specific medication they may be able to prescribe for you that'll help you, get over that hump for a little while. So, but like I was saying, don't think of it as like a death sentence. You definitely can have a fulfilling life with the disease. I mean, I continue to work full-time job even though, I was sick. I mean, I've been hospitalized, like I said. I've had a stroke. I've had 2 total hip replacements, back surgery, and I'm still here, I'm still alive, I'm still kicking. I'm not working full-time anymore. I'm working part-time, and I'm starting off this YouTube journey, and, I sell clothing and shoes online. So, there are other things that you could do if you're not able to work, those 4 hours. If anybody has any questions, like I said, I'm not a medical doctor, a medical professional by any means. Please consult your doctor if you have any questions. But if you just want to ask someone who has lived with the disease and has experienced a lot of different things with this disease. I've even had chemotherapy for my lupus. So, if anybody has any questions about, how it is to live with the disease, feel free to, leave any questions in the comments. Let's keep everything positive here. I hope that you guys enjoy these little short vlogs with medical information that you can probably pass along. even if it just helps one person, then I know that I've done my job, because a lot of people don't know about lupus, or lupus is known as the invisible disease because we may not physically look sick, even though we could be very well sick at that time. You wouldn't know it because physically, when you look at us, we look fine, but our body is going through it on the inside. So just be sensitive and have empathy. If you have someone in your family that has, autoimmune disease or any kind of disease, because you don't know what it is to live with that disease unless you have it. So, when a person says they're tired, don't automatically clap back like, what do you mean you didn't do anything? Because it's not that kind of tired. It's like your body literally can't do it. So, like I said, if you have any questions, to ask someone who's lived with the disease for, 16 years, please feel free to leave it in the comments, and I'll see you in the next vlog.